Perhaps you, like me, would like to build a strong family culture, a basis of belonging, a foundation of connection and community, a way to impart our family lifestyle and values to our children. We want to set our children up for success in life with a foundation of stability, an understanding of who they are and where they come from. Hi, I'm Avital. Welcome back to Hi Fam. I'm here on a mission to help you to build that strong family culture that is slowly becoming a lost art in our Western culture. So how do strong families do it? How do they build that sense of togetherness? And what can we learn from them? Well, let's start with 5 things they don't do. Number 1, strong, united families don't hold grudges. And as I go through this, ask yourself if this is something that happened in your family of origin or something that is happening in your home right now, raising your own children. Holding grudges is a way of keeping chips on our shoulders, right? Keeping kind of stories in our back pocket that we can bring out later. But the thing is that holding a grudge kind of burns a hole of resentment inside us. It's like holding on to hot coal. It actually burns through our sense of trust and cohesion with our family members. When we hold on to grudges for too much or too long, then it creates a sense that there isn't that strong connection and strong foundation. Instead, families that build a strong family culture, they do bring up their issues. They air their grievances, not just to air them, but in order to sort them through. They have the communication skills and the level of trust and healthy boundaries that allow them to actually work through things and then forgive them and leave them in the past. Number 2, families with a strong family culture do not neglect communication. It is becoming more and more common for people to be estranged from family members, living far away from their parents, and barely or hardly at all checking in with those family members and staying in touch. But the truth is that if we're not in touch with each other, then we don't really have that strong fabric of connection. Communication and knowing what's going on in each other's worlds, picking up the phone from time to time and visiting from time to time is how we maintain that familiarity, that closeness that breeds the fondness and the trust that strong families have with each other. So yeah, sometimes it can be a bit annoying to continuously call family members or to catch them up on what's going on. Sometimes you might not have patience to talk with your teenage child about what's going on in their life, or you might not feel that you yourself want to share. It's very normal for families to go days and then weeks and then sometimes months and years without ever having proper conversations. But if you want to have a strong family culture, you're going to need to build communication right into the base of how your family is run. One of the best ways of doing this is sitting around the table and having a meal together, which coincidentally is something that builds a strong family culture and that I teach inside of the studio, my membership. By the way, if you haven't checked it out yet, make sure to do that at hifam.com/studio, because inside of my membership, I actually teach you all of the skills of what you should do, not just what to avoid, but how to build that strong family culture. But getting back to our point here, we want to make sure that we are consistently having meaningful touch points of conversation with our family members, that each one of them has a communication with each one of us, right? Kind of like a web of communication where we're in touch on the most basic level. The next thing that families with a strong culture never do is fail to show support. Have you ever gone through something challenging or tough in your life, perhaps a loss or a failure, and wondered where your people were, why they weren't showing up to support you, why they weren't reaching out to offer a shoulder to cry on or a helping hand? That's something that someone growing up in a strong family culture should never feel, because the culture itself should create a sense of being there for each other. We show up for each other no matter what, through thick and thin. We're your people, we're here for you. Isn't that something you would like for your child? To grow up knowing that whatever they face in life, they've got people who care. They've got people who will reach out and who will show support. If so, that's something we've got to build in from the earliest stages. Even with our youngest children, we need to tell them and show them that we show up and support them and that we expect them to do that for each other and even for us, their parents. building a strong family culture is nothing if you abandon each other in tough times. And that's exactly what we want to teach our children, that we show up for each other through thick and thin. The next thing that people with a strong family culture never do is disrespect each other. Now, this might come to you as a little bit of a surprise because so many families that are close-knit and tight and love each other tremendously and do have a strong family culture might tease each other, might sting each other with sarcasm, or might even be blatantly disrespectful to their parents, like eye-rolling and sarcasm. But what I mean here is a bit of a deeper layer of disrespect. I don't mean banter and teasing. I don't mean occasionally, insulting each other. What I mean is that there's a deeper sense of loyalty, of respect for each other as human beings, respecting each other's privacy, respecting each other as individuals who have our own lives and our own opinions and are allowed to be separate in that way. And also creating a sense of having each other's backs, especially towards the outside world, so that a family member knows that we would never badmouth them. We would never gossip. We would never share confidential information about them, right? This is kind of the basis of trust, is that deeper sense of respect that individuals show each other within the family. Now, I hope you're showing this kind of respect to everyone around the world, but it's really important that in our family meals, that in our family gathering, that as we raise our children, we teach them that it is absolutely paramount to respect each other's privacy, to respect each other's wishes, to respect each other as individuals, and to never betray each other. In other words, to show loyalty, and to have actually a sense of duty, as archaic and old-fashioned as that value seems to be, but a sense of duty to one's family. And finally, people with a strong family culture never disregard traditions or rituals. Some of the things that some people with a powerful kind of tribe-like family might do might seem a little far-fetched, ridiculous, silly, or outdated. Certain traditions, like getting together every Christmas for a gingerbread house party, or eating bagels together on Sunday morning, or making sure that we have certain rites of passage, like every time a child hits 16 in our family, they have a special day fishing with grandpa. Whatever it is in your family culture, these are the types of things that actually create a sense of belonging, of cohesion. Kind of like a brand that we're all gathered together under and that we're all banded together in. These traditions and rituals are what sets us apart, perhaps, from other families. It's our uniqueness, it's our specialness, it's our language, it's our quirks, it's the funny things that we believe in. It's the inside jokes and the silly handshakes, right? It's the culture piece of the family culture. These are the things that we do together, the clothes that we wear, or the recipes that we make. And when you disregard these, what you're actually disregarding is the family itself. You aren't holding on to the symbols or the rituals that piece and hold that family together under one umbrella. And you're letting it kind of dangle by the thread of just having relations, right? Being relatives, rather than actually being a collected family that has some kind of strength in its numbers and in its unity together. Now, when I say strength in its numbers, you might be thinking, but Avital, in my family, we're just 3 people. What are you talking about? And I just want to tell you that families come in all shapes and sizes, and that is beautiful and wonderful, and we can just celebrate that. But any family of whatever size has a culture, whether we like it or not. It might be a really positive and inspiring and strong culture. It might be a culture of togetherness, of teamwork, of bonding, of fantastic empowered mindsets, of being really industrious or creative or inventive. Lots of different things might be going on in a family culture, no matter the size of the family. Or it could also be a negative culture, a culture of neglect or of alcoholism or of all sorts of abuses or of just perhaps despondency or depression or anxiety or worry or maybe isolation and loneliness. And on and on and on. There are so many different ways for a culture to be good or to be bad. And the idea is for us to start looking at the culture that we are developing in our family, that we are perpetuating, that we are continuing from the legacy of generations past, that we are building anew from scratch with ourselves, and decide what kind of culture is it. Listen, my friend, you are creating a world. In your home, you are actually creating a world where certain things are accepted and other things are not. Certain things are upheld or celebrated and other things are not. And that's your family culture. Now, if you want it to be a strong family culture, make sure not to do all of these things, like having a culture of disrespect, or a culture that abandons each other or is disloyal to each other, or a culture that simply forgets about our special traditions and rituals that keep us together, or even a culture that neglects to communicate and holds grudges. These are the types of things that would weaken us as a family, that would lead us to kind of separation and eventually estrangement, or at least just a kind of very cold and correct relationship rather than a close one. I would love to hear which of these speak to you the most. Let me know in the comments below, and let me know what you would like to see covered here on the HiFam channel. Meanwhile, make sure to go over to hifam.com/studio, get on the waitlist, or sign up if registration is open. I would love to coach you further on how to build a strong family. There are certain practices that strong families practice, and there's nothing stopping you from practicing them in your home too. Keep on living that HiFam life. Much, much love. See you next time.